Hey guys, we are working on practice sheet number 15. We are starting with a new concept, which is similar figures. So one of the things you should be learning is CPS, corresponding proportional sides. Okay. When you have similar figures, you can set up a proportion to find the missing side, corresponding proportional sides. Okay. Similar figures are the same shape, but different sides. So I usually do big to small, or if I see the small one first, I do small to big. In this case, I see the big shape first. I'm going to do big to small, and I'm going to write my lines here, okay, because I'm setting up a proportion. One thing you can do with your proportion is you can highlight the sides. This is something you can actually also do on STAR. So what I see here is I need X. So I'm going to highlight that side that has X, which is AC. So I'm going to put a dot under A and C. So those are the first letter and the last letter. Okay? So officially, and we can kind of tell the way these are oriented that we know this is going to go with it. But if I'm struggling, if the shape is flipped, then I need the first and the last. The first and the last, X, Z, okay? Those correspond. So on the big shape, we have X, which corresponds with 6 on the small. X and 6. Now, sometimes what I will do is I will just write, oh, well, on the big shape, I have X and 25. That's okay, too. Sometimes I just start with that. But always make sure your variable is one of the numbers. Then, I'm going to use green to make sure we can see it clearly. 25, I'm going to highlight that green. 25 is AB. AB. That's the first two letters, which means the first two letters here for this triangle, XY. Notice XY. We already knew it, but if the shapes are flipped or rotated, sometimes it's hard to tell. So 25 corresponds with 10. So your job is to cross multiply this. So most of us are good here, hopefully, x10, but we write 10x. Your job is to multiply this. That's your job. And you're going to put it on top right here. Okay? Then you'll divide both sides by 10, and then you will have x. X, which should be bigger than 6, because it's a bigger shape. Okay? Number 2, integers and decimal numbers here. Okay, integer right here. This is a rational number. Okay, hopefully you know we don't have to change any sign. Hopefully you know this is same, sum, add it to the left. You better line up those decimals, guys. Line up the decimals before you add. Number 3, Cassie bought 4 bags of soil for her flower bed. Each bag of soil costs $27.25. So I have 4 bags, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one is $27.25. $27.75, my bad. So I can put that in each one of these, right? So hopefully you know that means we're going to multiply 4 by this number. Okay? Then my last step, once I get this, is to make sure I add the tax, okay? You have to add the tax. We don't even have to find it this time. We're just going to add it. They already gave it to us. Okay, now let's go to number 4. So hopefully you can tell with number 4, we are going to need our formula chart. So let me pull up my formula chart. Here's my formula chart. I have triangle. A equals half BH. A equals half BH. Some of us may have that memorized now. So you're going to solve this. You should know what half means. That means somewhere I have to divide by 2, right? So your job is to put half, whatever the base is, whatever the height is. If you can take half of one of the numbers, hint, 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 then do that. Okay? Or multiply the 2 numbers, then divide by 2. Number 5, Julia earns $4,200 a month. of which 22% is taken out of her paycheck for taxes and other deductions. Calculate Julia's take-home pay or her net pay. Hopefully we know we change the percent to a decimal and multiply. I'm not going to even write that because you know it. But then your last step, guys, we want to know the take-home pay is to subtract whatever you get after you multiply. Be careful with that decimal. Number 6. You're going to do number 6. Okay? Use the formula chart. Make sure you're using the formula for area. This formula, write it down. Most of you know this. I'm just going to help a few of you that are a little newer to my class. Area is A equals pi r squared. So we know we're going to do that. The formula chart shows you what pi is, and this is the radius. It goes to the middle, okay? Okay, so you're going to solve that. Okay, this is number 7. This is a good one. It says, the amount of shore at a local beach changes by -3/4 of a foot each year. What that means is that the water is coming in. We're losing some of the sand, okay? What is the change in the amount of shore after 7 years, okay? Make sure you put a 7 there. So every year, it recedes. It goes back by 3/4 because the water comes up, so we have less sand every year. So we do this for 7 years. You can put 7 over 1. Your job is to multiply and make mixed. Hint, hint. This will be a negative answer. If you don't put a negative, no credit. Number 8. We have 2 shapes. I am not going to do the rectangle. I'm not going to do the rectangle with you. Okay? You're going to do the rectangle by yourself. I will help you over here with the trapezoid. Okay? I see a 4. I see a 13. And a 24. Your job, though, is to make sure you get that rectangle in here. Okay, area of the composite shape. So I'm going to go over here. Trapezoid, half, B1 plus B2, in parentheses, and then H. Okay. Half, we already know, right? Our bases are the ones that are parallel. These are parallel. 24 plus 13. And the height is where there's the right angle. Okay, so your job is to add those, right? Add those and put it here. My suggestion is take half of that 4 and then multiply. Okay? Then your last step is add. Add the 2 numbers. Add whatever you get here. Add whatever you get here. Number 9. Circle the numbers that are integers. If it's an integer, no decimals, no fractions, unless they're trying to trick you. Everything else should be circled. Everything else should be circled. No fractions, no decimals. Number 10. Candace has a net income of $3,600. If Candace spends $972 on her mortgage, what percent of her income is spent on mortgage? So, what percent is spent on mortgage? We do not have a percent, so we cannot change the percent to a decimal and multiply. We have to use our backup method. Is over of equals percent over 100. Now remember, these have to match. The question is asking for mortgage. So that's what I'm literally going to put on top. I don't have to subtract. I'm not looking for percent discount. I put however much is mortgage on top. 972 is mortgage. That's the is. So this will be the percent for mortgage. The of, we know that is the TWO. There's the total whole original. That's 3,600, and we know 100 goes there, okay? Guys, we're going to cross multiply. 97200. Okay, you're going to finish this up with this. Please make sure you cross off those zeros, and if I did it right, which I think I did, you should have a whole number percent, okay?